Hello and welcome back to another episode from the SuperCoach Corner podcast. Today, hitting you with my team talk following round 16 and the buys in general. Um, look, as you can see on the screen, if you're watching or if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, scored 2150. So not a bad week, and not a bad buy round in general or buy rounds in general. I'll go through my history and see how many ranks I went up, but I had a couple of really good weeks in there that saw me go up a fair bit and sitting, 3,800 at the moment. So not in reach of any big finish, but I'm still aiming for top 1K if possible. Got 5 trades left, one upgrade to make, 70K in the bank. So I made a couple stupid trades last week, or one stupid trade in general. I sort of forecast my trades for last week and this week and thought I needed to make an extra trade to get the extra cash. I'll get to it, like the intricacies of it, but turns out with how people performed, I probably could have just not made that trade and I would have been fine either way. So I'll get to last week's trades, but yeah, it's got 2150. Obviously, it was helped with a Nick Dacos captain. I think it was like 86% of Supercoaches captain him anyway. So everyone was pretty much in the same boat there. But a couple guys, somewhat point of difference guys that helped. Had two big outs. So Tristan Sherry held him, as I touched on last week's team talk, held him throughout the week and on the weekend, obviously, as well. So that was a big one. And Tim Kelly, a huge pot of mine, who has actually had a pretty good, 6 to 8 weeks. And in that, F6 sort of category where there's been a lot of down scores, I think he's been pretty consistent, like 90 to 120 pretty much most weeks. So I've been really happy with him. And from all reports, just hamstring awareness that came late in the week. So fingers crossed he can get himself up for this week against, I think it's Carlton from memory. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, that hurt. So 2 primos missing and to be able to scrape through a 2150 and a rise in ranks from that is nice. But yeah, that's how I said. If you are watching, you can see there on the right, did beat Tice in the Keeper League as well, which is nice. And left the captaincy on Darcy Wilmot too. So even with a 60 captain, Ty still managed to knock him off there. So that was good. I'm sure he'll love to hear that. But we'll get into Classic now and how the team fared. So I'll go into last week's thing. I don't know if you had a quick glance at the team there. There was a big pod that I brought in. But in terms of my rank from the start of the bye rounds, overall position, there you go. So 12K at the start of the buys and then finish at 3.8. So we'll take that. I quartered my rank, or dropped it. Went up almost 10K rank. So it's a good buy round. Like me and Tyce talk about it. Like if you can half your buy round, half your rank, sorry, throughout the 4 weeks or whatever, 5 weeks. I think it's 5. Yeah, 5 weeks this year. If you can half your ranks in that time, it's probably a good period for you. And I was able to do that and more. And I think Tice was the same. He'll go through his team talk later this week. But yeah, he did well too. Supercoach Cup, I lost that last week, unfortunately. So I've made a couple of silly trades over the last couple of weeks. Last week I went, I preached all week, and Tyson and I both preached all week last week about Durham was the best option in the forward line. And I knew that myself, but I went for McKercher instead. I needed someone around that price, and I wanted to win Supercoach Cup last week, and I ended up losing. So stuck with McKercher. Looked good. The role's sort of a bit iffy, but it's fine. It's whatever. And Durham looks really, really good. And then this week, I'll get to my trades this week, but yeah, that was a bad one that I made. So Sinclair was out. Obviously, everyone has Sinclair, and the timeline wasn't great. So moved him on. Decided to go a bit point of differency in the defense in James Sicily. So I just like the way that he plays his footy. Supercoach wise, I think it's really friendly, and their run home is really good. I touched on him in my team talk last week as a option. Look, he scored 110, I think it was, maybe 109, and then 109 against the Giants. It could have been 120, a couple of 50 meters against, a couple free kicks. He's just a bit silly, but that's all right. Melbourne really favourable for halfbacks. Carlton, Richmond, Essendon, North, Brisbane, Collingwood, West Coast. That is almost a dream run home. Brisbane can be tough. North isn't the most favourable for halfbacks, but the rest are pretty much top 6 for his role. So I just thought I'd take the punt there. I didn't have the cash to go Naz, and then the rest of them I thought was sort of a flip up anyway. So I was happy to have a bit of fun with it. Go for a guy that I like watching, and honestly, Hawks games are like from a SuperCoach point of view, like boring. Like there's no Hawks, like no one relevant. So at least it makes watching Hawks games a little bit more interesting. Can cheer home a pod, but we'll see how that pans out. Probably not the best call, but look, it was between him and Blakey for me. So I won last week, so that's nice. And then look, I you'll see there on my screen. I don't know if you can on or if it's cropped out, but I needed an extra to do 2 trades this week to get track as my last forward. I did an extra like 50k, so I was like, you know what, I'll just bank the cash with Ison. Leave me with 3 trades on the run home. Leaves me with Hawk Han as cover. Roby, I'm gonna hold as cover. Like it's probably not an ideal guy with his role sort of diminishing, but I'm holding him as cover, like, and I can flip him between mids and forwards. Same with Hawk Han. So it leaves me good on the bench with good cover and the players that I want in track. Obviously, with how track performed, he's probably going to drop to around 400k anyway. And the way that Sam Cumming performed, he could get, it could be a 50k swing in a couple of weeks anyway. So that kind of hurts because I didn't need that anyway. But I went Ison down to Swaddling. I said last week there was a bias in the Swaddling pick, and it turned out that way. I mean, he scored 40, but I just wanted to watch my guy. Like, Herbert was the pick, and I said it last week as well in all of our episodes. So Herbert was the guy if you want to downgrade. He was never really seeing my field. I thought I didn't need the extra cash anyway, so I just went Swaddling so I could cheer home a guy that I love. But whatever, it's not the best pick, and probably lost 40 points in doing it, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. I'm more just disappointed that I did the trade in the end because I could have got it done this week, I think, or maybe waited till next week and got it to track with just the 2 trades and keeping Ison. So that hurts, but we'll get back into the team and how it performed. I mean, I've already babbled on for a bit before even looking at the team and looking at trades, but this is what I shaped up as. So Ash was quieter, was sort of just behind the 8 ball a little bit for most of the game. Whitfield was good after his hot start. I think he had like 15 touches in the first quarter. So was good. After spending time at half forward last week, I think that was a nice bounce back to fill us with a little bit more confidence with Whitfield. James Sicily, I touched on. Look, he's good. He's got a good role. He marks the ball heaps and kicks the ball long. Like, that's what you want in your halfbacks. Averaging near 100 for the year. So I don't think it's going to be a bad pick. I'll lose points on Naz. I just am worried about losing points on other guys. Wilkie was probably the guy for 50k cheaper. But again, I just wanted to maximize points in the long run. Looking at last week, I think Sicily outscores Wilkie for the rest of the year with the extra game. So that's sort of where my head was at. Newman was terrible early, sort of. I don't know if you guys saw that, my lens just popped out of my glasses, but was terrible early, but sort of recovered after that. Houston was good. I mean, favourable matchup in Richmond, but you'll take it. If I can get a couple of those in the run home, I'm happy with that. Dirksen was all right. That's good. They're doing a good job. But I get Holmes back this week. The midfield was really good. Dawson, Butters, Nakos. Special shout out to Andy Brayshaw. Like, I've talked a lot of shit about this guy throughout the year. Started him, and obviously started off terribly with 47, 95, 73, 65. Like, just was not a performer. What was it? Like, after 11 rounds, was averaging 90 for a guy I paid over 600k for. So, terrible. But, yeah, what's that? Over the last 4 rounds, 117, 129, 111, 131. So, really, really good. And I couldn't have asked for much more from him. Neil was a bit quiet in a win, which is disappointing. Will Ashcroft was really good in this game, so I'm hoping that they got Geelong this week. I'm hoping Mullen goes to Ashcroft because of that. LDU was good. Has been poor the last, since I brought him in probably 2 weeks ago, but was good this week. Probably left an even bigger score out there. Cumming, I touched on, has been a good rook over the last 3 weeks or so. Swaddling, I don't need to get into that too much. Grundy's been underwhelming. I need a big score from Grundy soon. And the forward line sort of speaks for itself. So Sheasel was incredible. Horn Francis was really good and has been really good since I brought him in. I don't think he's gone under 110 since I brought him in. So take that. Tim Kelly was out, unfortunately. Kirch was okay with 92. Like, That's fine. Roby, 62. Got midfield minutes in the last quarter, so it's something to hold out hope for, I guess. They were down. They went to him. I think Durham lost a few CBAs. Caldwell didn't see one for the first 3 quarters, went full-time mid in the last. Roby was, I think, their second most, or maybe tied with Parrish in that last quarter. So I'm just hoping for, like, if I can get 70, 80 out of him for the rest of the year, and just provide good cover if I do have a 1 week injury here or there. Like if Tim Kelly misses another one, might be able to cover this week, or if Sherry's out for another one, I can loop him and someone else. So, yeah, he's been okay. I'm hoping he can be decent cover on the run home, and then Hawkan as well should keep his spot. You'd say he's probably gone ahead a couple of maybe the Nankervis types or Isaac Cumming. So that's where I'm at in terms of this trade this week. I'm still unsure about what to do with my final trades. As I touched on, my my goal was to get Track this week, but I'm just a little bit like I know he's so highly owned, so it could be a really hard antipod if he does play well. But his last 6 weeks or so has not been great. Like 90, 94, 118, 72, 93. Like, not terrible. The 72 and the 59 are obviously outliers, and the rest have been somewhat consistent. And at that price, I probably just shouldn't say no, but I feel like I could have fun with it. I know I had fun with it last week, but there's one guy that I really want. So this is the big thing. I'll talk about my trades like shortly, quickly, and then I might go into a general thing about where you guys should go. And the options this week. I know a lot of us are sort of down on trades anyway, so there might be a week for no trades for me for the first time this year, or I might just get that last forward. Rowan Marshall's the guy that I'm keeping a heavy eye on. Obviously, he had the collarbone, I think, issue or shoulder issue last week before the bye, and it seems to be all cleared. So he'll be touch and go. He should progress this week. Keep an eye on him. Make sure he's fine to go. Then Tom DeConing's the other one. Was in hospital for 2 days or 3 days after that punctured lung and broken ribs. So depending on where he's at, if that's like a 6-week plus injury, then I'm just going to roll the dice for Brian Marshall. Got a decent ruck run as a solo ruck. He's got, where is it? Here. Essendon, Port, Geelong is nice. North and Sydney are somewhat tough, and then it kind of eases up on the back end of the year. So, yeah, if I can get 6 weeks out of him, I'll take it at 420k. If not, I might hold out trades and just run with Cumming for a bit. See if I can get him to track maybe in one trade. I've got 70k in the bank. So my original plan was just go Dirksen down to a DPP guy to free up some flexibility, and then go Cumming up to track, leave me with 3 trades in the run home. Now that I can trade out Cumming for 387k, and I need a forward, obviously. Like, I'm not far off some decent viable options in terms of, like, who is there? Like, Track, I don't think will, what's that, like a 80k gap between those two. I don't think I'll get that. I don't think they'll get close enough. So maybe not Track, but someone like a Rankin, I think I could possibly even get next week. There's a 40k gap there. Rankin's got a break even of 150. So, yeah, if he drops 30k with an 80 and Cumming goes up 20k with a 65, then I'll be able to do that in one trade next week. There was a couple other guys, I feel like some decent forward options, but Tracy maybe might be able to drop enough for me to have a look at him. But yeah, if Tom DeConing's out for 6+ weeks, I think I'm gonna do the 2 trades. Dirksen down to a DPP guy, coming up to Rowan Marshall and just run with that. Potentially Roby up to Rowan Marshall. I'd like to keep Cumming over Roby, but I want the DPP from Roby to cover both lines. I need forward cover. Cumming is touch and go for forward DPP. I think he's played too much midfield over the last couple of weeks. I don't think it's going to happen, but if the numbers come out this week and he's a chance of getting it this week coming, then maybe I'll I'll keep him. But yeah, potentially coming to Rowe Marshall with the 2 trades, or might wait a week, just go coming to Rankin next week, hope that he has a decent back end of the year, and then have 4 trades in the run home with, what's his name? Roby and Hall Khan and those sort of guys as cover. So that's sort of where I'm sitting. In terms of best options, so Herbert's the guy for me. I think that role is just too good to pass up. So if you're looking for a downgrade, he's the guy over Joel Fitzgerald. I know they're both on the bubble, but Herbert's that halfback role took kick-ins, looked really composed, and the question mark for me in his first game was there was no Tom McCarthy. It was like, is that a like-for-like replacement? He's just come in, but Tom McCarthy was back, and they both worked pretty well on the same back line. So he's the downgrade option. In terms of upgrades, let's have a look. Like, Naz is the guy. So if you're still holding off on a defender, or you didn't grab the cover, or you might have used some DVP on Sinclair last week in terms of cover, Naz is the guy. I think he puts 10 points on any other defender. If you can get there, just do it. He'll have a couple tag games, but the way that the Saints are playing, it's just Naz ball, really. And just get the ball in his hands at all costs. And it might not be the most effective way for the Saints to go about the back end of the year, but it's just what they're doing, and it's going to be SuperCoach gold. If he gets tagged, he goes and takes every kick out, especially with no Sinclair, and it brings his floor up anyway. So I'm trying to find him, but I might as well just search him. But yeah, he's probably the guy. If you had the cash, he's the guy you want, and I think it'll set you apart. I don't think a lot of people will be able to get here, so I think it'll set you apart in the back end of the year. And he got a pretty decent run with Essendon, Port. I think like tags, like Mullen goes to him here, but again, how much does it really affect him? I don't think heaps. I think Foss goes to him here, but how much does it really affect him? James Jordan, there's tags here. I think Lockie Cowan ran with him earlier in the year. So it could be a 4-week tag span for him, but I just think even at tag games, he can pop out 90s, and we know how big his ceiling is. So he's your guy. He's your defender if you want. If you're shopping like cheap in defense, I think it's Wilkie. He's your best option. I like Sicily, so if you want to have some fun with me, come join me. But no, I think Wilkie, still a really good option at 456k. So with no Sinclair should help him even more. So I like this one. Caleb Daniels had a sneaky good year. 3-man average of 121. I wouldn't go there, but just sort of highlight that. Not much else in terms of defenders that I would be interested in. Brody Yuland, we've talked about heaps on the pod, but he's had an incredible year, averaging 102 now, which is crazy. Luke Parker, I didn't even know he scored 120. That's crazy. He was really good yesterday, and really good if you went there for a Sinclair replacement. Josh Dacos, I wouldn't go there. Luke Ryan was okay. Yeah, they're probably the guys. There's the GWS guys as well, who you've got if you want. But no, that's probably it in terms of defenders. Forwards is probably where the question marks lie. I think Durham is still a good buy at 420k. I know there was some question marks around the role in that last quarter, but I still think it's good buying. Joe Richards at 447, 110 again, 300 average of 105. Probably not, but it could be one to look at next year. Yeah, I think it's your usual types. In terms of Durham, Phil Thorpe, if you're really shopping cheap, I don't mind. He looks to be over whatever injury he had at the start of the year. So keep an eye on him. If you're really shopping cheap, I don't mind it. Colby, I just think that's probably the best you're going to get from Colby in that 90. He played Essendon and did heaps of good things and still only scored 90. So probably wouldn't be looking there. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. So Murphy Reed's playing good footy, but the sheer numbers are just not equating to SuperCoach scores at the moment. So I wouldn't bother with that at 480k. I'd rather Chad Warner looked really, really good. Jordan De Goey, I think, is a good buy if you're looking for a pod at 500k. His last 6 to 8 weeks has been incredible. So yeah, it was a good buy. We played it at 370 or whatever it was. if you manage to jump on him there, that's a huge step up in the competition. So he's been really good. But yeah, it's really Sheasel and then who else at this point? Horn Francis is putting together a good year, but and then Cozzy, obviously, at 470k. If you haven't got him, is still there, but they're probably your best options. Ruck speak for themselves. Midfield, I think most of us have completed our midfield, but I think there's proved to be some decent value here if you are still shopping. LDU at 500k, I think is really good. Yeah, Matt Rao looked good in a struggling team on the weekend at 492k if you want some value there. Sam Walsh looks back to his best. I know a bad year. It could be hard to buy into, but at 475k, I couldn't begrudge you if you did look there. Dunkley, likewise. Like, you're shopping really cheap now. I probably wouldn't go this cheap, but yeah, keep an eye on the likes of Rankin. He could fall. Hayden Young's another one that I like. I know I talked about Rankin. Hayden Young, I don't think he had many midfield minutes yesterday, but should get 4 DPP come next week. So just wanted to flag. That's about it, I reckon. I think I've waffled on for a bit in this episode, but yeah, you know my trades. It's sort of injury dependent this week. See how X pulls up. See how TDK pulls up. I really do want Rowan Marshall. If I do those 2 trades, or leave me with like 90k in the bank as well. So, give me a few weeks, maybe till SuperCoach finals of fingers crossed injury free, and I could upgrade the likes of Houston or Newman or McKercher to someone. So in one trade. So that would be nice. But that's about it, I reckon, guys. We'll just have the one pod again this week. It's sort of like quieting down in terms of SuperCoach content, just with everyone's trade sort of dwindling. I think everyone's burnt through them a lot quicker this year than they have in years gone by. So I think around this time, a lot of people are just doing their last couple of trades and just going to hold for any injuries. So we'll get a pod out this week, and we will probably every week for the rest of the year. But yeah, a lot less to talk about. So keep an eye out on our socials for anything extra, and we will put a Q&A out on our stories. I think we're recording tonight, Monday night, so put a Q&A out on our stories. So if you have any questions, just reply to that, and we'll get to that this afternoon or this evening when we record. But until then, thank you again for listening. Hope you had a good weekend, and we'll speak to you soon. Thanks, guys. Cheers.